Hey everybody, my name's Joe.
I'm also Joe.
Welcome back to our recap for, I believe, week number 25. Today we're going to be recapping Captain Novolin, I don't remember how to pronounce it, Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge, Wordtris, Wing Commander, and Super Star Wars. Let's get started. First up, Captain Novolin. Go.
Graphics. I think the graphics in this game were actually okay. Other than
I did not.
Captain Novolin.
The pixel art for the people
the pixel art
was fine.
was great.
But in game, I didn't care.
In game,
for
I don't
any
think
of
it was that bad. Like the enemies, you could tell what the enemies were.
Well, I won't argue
Like
that.
the enemies looked.
Their sprites
like
were
what
also
they were.
enormous.
I guess, yeah, but anyway, I don't think graphically it was terrible.
No,
Definitely not the best, but it's definitely not the worst.
It is not the worst, but it is not great. The sound design was
Sound not good.
pretty weak. The gameplay was suffrage. It is arguably a platformer. There is no attacking. It is just a dodge your enemy platformer. The hitboxes are big. Your
Jump's
movement
weird.
Your movement is slow and very chunky. And it just doesn't play well.
It doesn't.
Um,
And I don't know why they would choose this way to teach people about insulin.
yeah, thematically
And
this game
diabetes.
was designed to teach kids about diabetes, which was weird. I mean, it's a very strange way to go about it. And as a kid, I would have felt very cheated if my parents had bought me a video game and I got it and was like, what the hell is this nonsense? That said, I mean, I guess if you had diabetes as a kid, you know, maybe this would have been an acceptable way to kind of teach you about your own condition. I don't know. It's just not exceptional by any stretch. I mean, you can see there. You get kind of a neat spinny jump, and there's a cup of milk,
great.
which is a power up, I think.
No, you were supposed to.
Oh, that's right. You had to pick up the healthy foods. There's the evil donut.
Well, you weren't supposed to pick up healthy food. You were supposed to pick up the food to balance out your
insulin, which is what the doctor told you at the beginning. He's like, "Hey, it's for breakfast. Get a glass of milk, some oatmeal, an apple or a banana, stuff like that. Sugary cereal, ooh, stomach ache." And then I guess if you get too many sweets, you go into a diabetic coma and die, basically. It's very peculiar. In the end, I did not particularly care for this at all. Thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Sorry, buddy. Next up, exciting for me, the first Marvel the first Marvel game that we've run across. Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge is an action platformer where you are Spider-Man and the X-Men. So the story being Arcade has kidnapped the X-Men, and your job as Spider-Man is to free them. The first level is purely Spider-Man, and then after that, you get to select from the other X-Men available, which is kind of cool. And everybody has 2 levels, so there's I think there's 5 of the X-Men. Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, Gambit.
Spider-Man. That's it.
Okay. So there's 4 other X-Men. And so there's 10 total levels. This is like level 11 right here. This is kind of the starting level where you're forced to be Spider-Man. And then I'm sure there's at least one more level for fighting through and killing Arcade or catching Arcade, however you want to call it. Graphically, I think the game looks fine.
I think graphically it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I did not like Spider-Man on the wall.
Why?
I don't know. It just did not look good.
I want to see you get on a wall real quick. I think it looked fine. There you go.
Something about.
I think it looks fine.
I just think it looks a bit weird. I don't know.
All right, look. I think the backgrounds looked fine. I think all the foreground work looked good. And I think the sprites in general looked really good. It was a nice palette selection of colors. I think graphically it's fine.
Graphically, I would agree. I think it is fine.
Sound design, the music was okay, not particularly memorable.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
But the rest of the sound design was fine. Each X-Men had their own sound set, of course. Spider-Man had his little thwippy thwip spider webs. Cyclops had his kind of a laser beam. Pew! Wolverine had his shink claws. And what I like was Wolverine could put his claws in and out. And when they came out, it's like shink. And then when you hit things, it's like shink, shink, shink. Storm was in water, and you really didn't do anything but float around, which was unfortunate for that level. We didn't get to her second level, so I don't know if she ever got out of the water. But, so I think sound design was okay.
Mediocre.
Mediocre, Marcel. Gameplay. As a platformer, what do you think? You played it primarily.
It was ridiculously difficult.
Ridiculously difficult.
It was really, really hard. And I feel like they could have done some really cool things with it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Like, the Spider-Man swinging from a web.
Yeah.
They could have done that so much better. Like, the way it works is you swing your web, and if it hits something, it hits something. If it doesn't, then, it just disappears. I get that. But if you barely clip the corner of something, you stop
you
right
detach.
there.
Yeah.
And in order to not make it, you'll have to pull yourself in. You can't go back out after that. And then I really wish that you could jump into it.
Yes, that is my biggest argument, at least against Spider-Man, is you can't jump and throw your web, which is really silly. Also, you have to have something to attach your web to, which, I mean, come on.
You should be able to attach your web to the wall as well, I think.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to have something to attach your web to at all. It should just shoot to the top of the screen, in my opinion, and then you swing. Because in every Spider-Man cartoon I've ever seen, regardless of the buildings, dude is just swinging. Like, it never shows attach points or things. Like, it's just unnecessary. So, there's that. And then, otherwise, I think the controls were generally okay. They weren't anything to write home about. The hitboxes were average. Like, I don't think they were too big, and there weren't a whole lot of wonky parts. The most wonky parts is there were a number of places, at least in the next level of Spider-Man's, where there was definitely some cheap shots.
Yeah.
Like, there's just rebar and stuff that you look at and you wouldn't think it would hurt you, because it seems to be more part of the foreground, kind of the front layer, whereas you're in the middle layer, that you're just like, oh, okay, and then you hit it and it hurts you. And then
I'm also super disappointed with the abilities they gave Wolverine.
Yeah, he just has his claw attack.
That's it.
And he does regenerate health very, very slowly. Yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of hope for the game. I don't think it's as good as I want it to be. But I did still give it a thumbs up because it is the first superhero game we've run across. And I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's unplayable by any stretch.
I don't think it's unplayable, but I did not think it was good enough to warrant a thumbs up. So I gave it a thumbs down.
Terrible. 1 up, 1 down for Spider-Man. Next up is Wordtris. It is Scrabble with Tetris. Peculiarly themed around a circus, which is weird. I mean, let's...
Who knows?
Yeah.
The cooperative was kind of fun.
Well, visuals.
The visuals.
Do it in order.
I mean, there's hardly anything to talk about visuals. The pixel art on the side is good.
Yes, the pixel art on the sides of the screens is great.
Other than that, you get this not great
Yeah, I mean...
play screen. That's really it.
Yeah, the play screen looks trash compared to normal Tetris. Compared to, like, Tetris on the NES, the play screen on this doesn't look good. Music was good.
I think
For sure.
right.
The music and sound were fine. The music was good, as a Tetris game should have good music. It has to be catchy. It has to get in your head. And I think this achieved that. Gameplay, on the other hand. Now, what you're seeing right here is Joey and I playing competitive. And playing two-player competitive in this, it's not like Tetris or Dr. Mario where you get your separate screens. You are playing on the same screen, attempting to form words that are worth points.
And you can block the other person.
I found it entertaining to no end that I could push my letters over into Joey's area and, like, block him from going where he wanted to go. And that was really entertaining to me. However, there is 2-player co-op, and then single player you're trying to make words. But the letters are completely random, and sure, you can see what's coming up at the top, but it gets really hard to try and form big words. And in the end...
And in single player, you have a target word that you have to make before you can continue to the next level.
Well, in this one, it has a word up there at the top that's worth more points. Grape, if you can manage that. But the random letters, and especially with 2 of us on the board, forget about it. You're never going to get grape. At some point, I just started shoving my letters down as fast as I could all over the place, letting random words that I wasn't trying to form just to get points to beat Joey. So, yeah, it doesn't play well. We did not particularly enjoy it. Play Tetris.
Or Scrabble.
Or play freaking Scrabble. That would
play
be
both
fine
of them
as
together.
Well. Yeah, they 2 great tastes that do not taste great together. This was a solid thumbs down. Next up, Wing Commander. You want to explain this one?
Starting with graphics, I think Wing Commander looked really good.
Yes.
I think it did an excellent job, graphically speaking, especially inside of the cockpit.
Yeah.
With each different ship, it changes the inside, and I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
That they didn't have to do, but they did, and it's a really cool detail. Sound? Was there music?
There was. Yeah, there was. And it changed when you got into a combat situation to be like a more tense music.
And there was a calm music in the interstitial area.
Yep.
Where you're talking to people.
Yep. It was pretty solid. The graphics, like you said, were pretty good. It looked almost like they tried to do some polygonal stuff, kind of a sort of 3D look. The pixel art, I think, is great. Have we seen better pixel art? Sure, but this pixel art's super solid, I think. It's got the animations are pretty good. Like you can see his cheeks and stuff move and the lines change, so that's neat. This was originally a PC game that got ported over to the Super Nintendo, so they dragged a lot of stuff over with it. Overall, the game looked super solid. The sound design, like you said, there was music. It was also fairly solid. The other sounds were just, lots and lots of lasers and explosions, unfortunately. I mean, that's par for the course for pretty much every game you play on these old 16-bit systems. So you got the launch sequence and your first fighter ship. Gameplay-wise, it is a free shooter. You are not on rails.
It is very easy to get lost.
Yes, it is.
You ended up playing it most of the time because I couldn't do anything in it. Not even in the simulation area. You have radar at the very bottom middle, and the radar is you looking forward. It is not like a normal radar.
Yeah.
So if there's a red dot on the left side of the radar, that means turn left and you'll find him.
Yep.
There's a lot of controls. Like, a lot.
Yeah, there are. That's something that needs to be said. So there are a lot of command controls in this. Select L switches between your weapons display and your damage display. Select R changes between like waypoints and talking to your wingmen and issuing commands and requesting docking and so many different things. And it's really neat that they fit all this complexity into the game. But it does make it kind of difficult. Now, see, you got your wingman talking to you there. I think the game was really good. And the flying was kind of difficult. I did get it down after a little bit and got pretty solid at getting my kills in. I did lose the wingman towards the end of the game, which is unfortunate. You kind of cut him loose with your commands. I was like, break away and attack at your will, and he went and got himself killed. One of the more interesting gameplay factors that, isn't a visual thing, each mission has a success or a fail. And there are, I think, 30 different missions in a large branching diamond based on success and failure where you go. So you could play this game a number of times and only play a couple of the same missions and play a lot of different stuff. So it's got a lot of crunch in there for anyone who wants to invest the time to play this game.
And it is a cinematic game.
It is very cinematic.
And I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. It definitely gives you a feeling of vastness and depth that most games did not give us. So I gave this a thumbs up.
I also gave it a thumbs
So
up.
2 thumbs up for Wing Commander. Next and final, Super Star Wars. Now this is based off Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. It is an action platformer. Why don't you take this one, buddy? We just finished this tonight as we're recording this.
So graphically speaking, I think it looked really good.
Yes.
The sprite work was really good. You know, the levels show what they are. The last 2 levels, graphically speaking, weren't great.
They were a little tough. They were very Mode 7.
Yeah. Sound was great. You get the pew pew of your laser.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers actually have like the stormtrooper laser from the movie. The music is all Star Wars music.
Yes, and done very well for chiptune-y.
So, I mean, music's great.
Yeah, music's really solid in the game.
Gameplay, it throws a lot of dudes at you.
So many dudes.
And they're on endless respawn no matter where you are.
You walk off the screen and walk backwards, guess what? Everything you just killed is back.
Things that fly into the screen will not stop. Other than that, it was a game where, like, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played it on easy with save states, and I still died many times.
Yep.
But in this game, you know, the dying didn't discourage me from playing. It didn't make me feel like I didn't want to play.
Right.
So...
The deaths didn't feel cheap.
Right. That being said, the hitboxes are pretty on par with where your sprite is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure the game looked great. The backdrops were awesome. All the pixel art and sprites looked really good. The sound was really good. Now the gameplay, I mean, how was the platform and the control? Was it solid?
It was pretty good. There are some times where you'll get hit by an enemy and get knocked off. That's kind of annoying. And every boss has, you know...
A weak point.
Not every boss, but a lot of bosses have just a spot where you can sit and blast and they'll die eventually.
Yeah. You'll be fairly out of harm's way for the most part. The hardest boss in the game was arguably like level 8 or something. And then the very final level was kind of rough because it was just kind of you have to do the trench run and manage not to die. Which I ended up beating the game because...
I suck at those types of things because you control the cursor to shoot things. And
yeah, it wasn't...
I've never been good at those.
The control on that wasn't great. There were a number of levels where you're flying a land speeder, so it's a vehicle level, and then the X-Wing, which is also a vehicle level. The controls on those... I thought the controls on the land speeder looked okay. The X-Wing looked pretty damn hectic, though.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I mean, the game's pretty solid. It is noted as being... The Star Wars games are noted as being some of the best games released for the Super Nintendo. So I think it's probably hard to go wrong with them. We did enjoy it. We did beat it, so that was really cool. And I give this a hearty thumbs up.
I also give this a thumbs up. I can definitely see why it is touted as one of the better.
Yeah, so there you go. 2 thumbs up for Star Wars. So that's 2 down for Novolin, 1 up, 1 down for Spiderman, 2 down for Wordtris, 2 up for Wing Commander, and 2 up for Super Star Wars. So thanks everybody for checking in on this episode 25 recap. And we will be back with week 26, I don't know, in a couple of weeks. So thanks for continuing to watch the Sports Channel. Have a nice night, everybody.
See you guys.